He gets it, but it's like the reading doesn't. That's the problem. All right, let me plug myself in here.
Recording in progress.
Sorry, I'll fix it. Okay. I'll leave when that happens.
Is there anyone with you?
No, it's just you and I so far.
Who is that?
Diane.
Diane, sure.
Yeah.
I recognize her voice.
Did you?
Hi, Diane, it's Gretchen.
Hi, Gretchen. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, exhausted.
It's a lot. I get it, guys.
It'll be good though. It'll be good.
And it's almost over. It's like
Yes.
Almost there.
2.
after today, 2 more. You guys are done with me after today.
Oh, that's right. Oh.
Well, have fun today.
All right, take care. I'll see you on the 1st.
Okay, see ya.
Wow, that's really bright. Oh, there we go.
I got to get more coffee. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. I'm giving people just a couple more minutes to get on. I'm taking attendance. Evan?
Yes,
What is your last name and where are you from?
it's Sandoval, Sandoval.
Okay.
And
What
I'm,
office are you in? Oh, there you are.
yeah, hi, sorry. I'm with Keller Williams Avenues Realty LLC.
Oh, okay, so you're with Margaret.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
What do we have on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so far I got my attendance right. Well, hopefully today will be kind of a good one. You guys can't see my beautiful necklace. I gotta put it on here. Hopefully you find it.
Oh, wow. Why
I
does
gotta
that?
be all- It's my candy corn necklace.
I was going to say, it looks exactly like a candy corn. Nice. Hey, Becky.
Morning.
Morning.
All right, so let me share my screen.
I got to adjust all this.
Well, today's negotiations, probably getting like more interesting, I would think right now, is it?
Tuesday was fabulous. So there's, I'm looking forward to this day, especially. So
Yeah.
not to put any pressure on you, but
Well, the thing is, like, if I am not covering something or you guys have questions, please stop me. You know, I'm more than happy to go over things that aren't even in here, you know what I mean? So if you have questions or you're curious about something, just speak up and I'll try to answer it best I can.
Okay.
All right. I guess we'll get started. So you guys did make and receive offers yesterday with Jody. How did that go?
we had Bree.
Oh, okay, maybe Jody. Oh, I think Jody went to that business thing. What was it? The business planning clinic? Yeah. Okay, and how did it go? Yeah, did you feel like you learned a lot?
Always. Drinking through the fire hose. Always.
So hopefully I won't be too redundant today because a lot of, honestly, the make and receive offers, some of it's the same stuff probably, but hopefully I'll touch on other things that, you know, weren't touched on before. So hopefully, like I said, you're not going to be bored, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so we're going to cover negotiations. Does anyone, I mean, this is kind of a stupid question. What is negotiation?
Yeah, it's a compromise.
Yeah?
That's the best I can come up with. I think it's about compromise. Different views, different points.
Contracts or commissions.
So, oh, I'm sorry, Yvonne, are you talking?
Yeah, I was saying negotiations as far as negotiating certain contracts or making negotiations for commission.
Right. I mean, honestly, all of real estate, almost from the time you meet with someone until you close is negotiation. But the 3 P's of negotiation are prepare, present, and position. And today we're going to talk about the tips for successful negotiations. So hopefully by the end of today, you'll be able to explain negotiating offers, use the 3 Ps approach to negotiation, and recall and practice the key skills of negotiation. So I'm supposed to have you guys break out, but I think it's too soon. Let's talk about it. Are there anything in particular you would like to get out of this today? Like any questions that just arise before we even begin?
I don't think so. Not for me. I don't think I've done negotiations for myself, but I've never,
Right.
well, yeah, I guess we had a little bit of negotiation in business. I guess I do it more than I think, now that I think about it.
You do. Yeah,
Yeah.
constant you're negotiating.
Yeah.
How many of you guys have kids? It's always a negotiation, constant negotiation.
Yvain, don't you have 6 kids?
Yes, I actually was going to say I do a lot of negotiating with my children. Does that count?
Yes, it does. It does, because it's a skill. You know, if you kind of deal with them, they all have different personalities. You learn how to negotiate differently depending on their personality, right?
Right. And
Yep.
that's what I was going to say. They all have different negotiations. It's not the same.
Right. When I was potty training my son, he liked toys. So when I was potty training him, I bought this marble thing and it had all the different cars in it. And as he was going to the bathroom, I'd sit on the floor and I'd be like, which car are you going to pick after you go? My daughter could care less, right? So it depends on the person.
It does.
Right.
I'm actually potty training right now, so I know.
Oh, fun times.
Yes.
I would sit on the floor and read books until like something happened. Yeah. And I never used pull-ups because I felt like they were just really expensive diapers.
They really are, and they don't hold as well. So.
Right, exactly. Okay, so guess what's coming up? A quote, but it's not a Gary Keller quote. So who wants to read it? How about Evan? Because I haven't worked with you yet.
Okay. Negotiating is not something to be avoided or feared. It's an everyday part of life.
That's true. We just talked about it. I mean, you do it every single day.
Yep.
All right. So, what limiting beliefs do you think you have about negotiation, if any? Do any of you feel like you do?
It's difficult. It's difficult.
Sometimes, yeah. Anyone else? Has anyone here ever bought a car?
Yes.
Is that a negotiation?
Very much.
That's past negotiation. That's mental beating.
Oh, I know. They always try to go by payment. I don't care about your payment. Tell me what I'm paying for the damn car, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't have a trade-in.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have a trade-in. You throw it in later. So yeah, I mean, you negotiate with cars. How many of you have bought a house?
Not yet.
Right. Do you feel like you participated in the negotiation process when you purchased your house? What were some of the things you negotiated on when you purchased your house?
I laugh because I bought mine here in Evergreen in January. So there were no negotiations.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Terrible.
Sorry about that.
I'll take it.
Anyone else? Mark, have you bought a house? Mark?
Oh, me. Sorry. Yes, I'm on my third.
Okay, and what were some of the things you negotiated?
There really wasn't a lot to negotiate. I was living abroad, playing email tag, but it was pretty much the way the market was take it or leave it. So
Yeah. But you know what, guys? the market's different. You get to negotiate again.
Yeah.
When I was selling houses even 4 years ago, it was it changes constantly, right? So that's why what's important to keep up with what the market's doing, to know what you can get away with asking for, correct? So just always keep that in mind. So negotiation is an important part of a real estate agent's job. Do you agree with that? I mean, it's a big part of it.
Yeah.
In Ignite, you've learned through NAR statistics that a real estate agent's ability to negotiate is one of the top reasons buyers and sellers look for an agent to help them in their search or sale. And part of that is because you're supposed to know the market better, right? And know, especially when someone comes from out of state, what someone asks for in a different state might be completely different than what they could ask for here. So that's why it's important for you guys to really be trained so that you can help people with the process. Okay, this whole thing. Which WI4C2TES relate back to the, I don't understand this, but okay. Relate back to the negotiation process. Which one of these?
One, I would say the very first one, especially.
Yeah, exactly.
Communication.
I would say, well, I would say all of it.
Yeah.
But probably one of the most important things to keep in mind is win-win, right? Because if any side of the party feels like they've been taken advantage of or are getting less than, it can blow an entire deal up.
Yeah.
So you have to be really good to try to make it a win-win for both sides, whether it's your client or not. Just remember to always be kind, fair, and professional. You have the best chance of reaching an agreement that is best for your clients if you're like that. So I don't know how much business have you guys done with other agents? Have you ever had one that's a real jerk?
We've heard a lot of stories.
Yeah. And they can be ferocious. So you have to swallow your pride a lot of times. I mean, I won't take a beating. I had one lady, and she acts like she was like all that bag of chips, but she worked with a builder, okay? So she had a lot of transactions, but she wasn't getting paid much because she was working with the builder. And I had asked her a bunch of stuff in inspection, and she called me screaming, "What are you doing?" She was afraid I was going to blow up her whole deal. And I'm like, if you'd like to discuss this, I'm more than happy. And she kept screaming at me. So I hung up the phone on her. I'm like, let her cool off. I wouldn't answer again. And then finally I did. And she goes, "How dare you hang up?" I go, "I'm not going to sit there. We weren't having a conversation, right? I'm more than happy to have a conversation, but I could sit here and let you scream at me on the phone." That was probably one of the worst ones I've ever worked with, but you'll get some. But I knew I was about ready to explode. And if I didn't hang up the phone, I would have said things I regretted.
Well, you would have been behaving just like she was, right?
Right.
Do you think you really would have regretted it?
I would have, because in the end, I could have hurt my client, right?
Yeah.
And they wanted this house. So if I would have done that, I could have blown the whole deal up for my client.
Yep.
And so I just decided I'm going to avoid this right now. This girl is not in a headspace where she could talk. So let me just hang up the phone and I'll go back to her later when she cools off. But I'm not talking to someone while they're screaming at me. So just always remember that it's not about you, it's about the client. It's about win-win, right? You're gonna have to swallow your pride. At the old real estate company I worked at, one agent had such a bad experience with another agent, she sent them a middle finger text. She got fired.
Well,
Jesus.
Yeah. So like, don't do that stuff.
well,
In what setting did you do that? Was that like closing?
No, it was during the negotiation process. The guy was being a jerk, and he was being a jerk. And in the end, she sent him a middle finger emoji. And then he reported her to the office, and they had to let her go. I mean, you can't behave that way, no matter how. She should have done what I did and walked away, right?
yeah.
It is hard, believe me. It's hard, especially you get these guys with egos. It's hard. So just always remember, you're there for your client. You're there to win the deal for your client, right? I mean, I recently had a closing where I got the seller property disclosure. It was blank. Blank. So we're there for an inspection, and like all this stuff, the agent ended up like showing up, and he starts talking about all these things that were like replaced. And I'm like, why didn't you disclose that? And my buyer then started getting suspicious. Well, what else is there, right? And again, I had to bite my tongue, but I did say to him, why did the seller's property disclosure come back blank? I'm like, that's where you're supposed to put all this stuff. And he's like, well, I always tell my client not to do that in case they say it wrong. I'm like, you are an idiot. You're going to get someone sued. But whatever, I didn't say it, but I thought it, right?
Yeah.
And I just sat there like, oh my gosh. And my client looked at me like, oh my gosh, right? Because we always pound it, disclose, 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 disclose. Even if you think it's stupid, disclose. Because they're going to talk to your neighbor next door, and they're going to find out you had a little flood in your basement, and then they're going to come and sue you. Disclose, disclose, disclose. So again, in the end, we had to kind of, forget he said that and just kind of move forward. I wanted to be like, you're an idiot, but I couldn't because my client wanted the house. So just never forget that you are building relationships with all parties from the first contact, right? What do you think they mean by that?
Well, I mean, from the moment that you engage to purchase the house, I mean, from the moment you start showing it, right? You're gonna send back feedback. Right. That seller is going to look at that feedback, or that listing agent is going to look at that feedback, and they're going to start making assumptions on how you do business and what kind of person you are. And then if they put a contract on, then you're also working with it. So starts
what do you think that agent would have said had I called him and said, why is this blank, you idiot? And he gave me that reason. What do you think how do you think that transaction would have went?
It wouldn't have gone anywhere because he would have been immediately on the defensive, and it would have just rolled downhill from there.
Right. And then who in the end am I hurting?
Your client.
Exactly. So, like I said, you just always have to kind of keep it in check. And remember, it's win-win, integrity in all things, communication, seek first to understand, and trust starts with being honest, right? So that listing agent honestly wasn't honest, but we had to move past it, right?
Yep.
So just like I said, always just keep those things in mind, right? And the other thing is, you should be building a relationship with that agent even before. So you're building a relationship with that agent even for the next deal. You may run into that agent again. And if you guys were combative throughout the whole thing, what do you think they're going to tell their client when you send an offer in?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah, they're horrible. Run. Take this other offer, right? This person's hard to work with. They're going to have their client ask for 7 million things on inspection. They're unrealistic. So it just isn't good for anybody. And before you even send an offer in, you should be building a relationship over the phone with that agent, correct?
Mhm.
So you're building a relationship with them, and then through them, you're building a relationship with the seller, because they're just going to their seller and relaying how you are, correct? So if you are a jerk, they're going to go back and relay, oh my gosh, this agent's awful, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to take this. So just remember the relationship starts immediately. Keep emotions under control, never be defensive. We kind of talked about that a lot. Give people grace. One other thing, you always have to kind of remind people throughout the transaction, like your buyer will get mad or your seller will get mad. And it's like, you got to always kind of put them in check too, and yourself. You have to remember the other side. If you put yourself in someone else's shoes, how would you feel, right? So the part with the blank disclosure, how would that seller have felt if all those things came out later, right? So actually, that same one, we did an inspection objection, they did an inspection resolution, and they agreed to have a company come out and look at the air conditioner. So the inspector couldn't get one of them to kick on. So the listing agent calls and says, well, he had one of his clients or his neighbors come and take a look and they replaced some part. I'm like, okay, that's great. But that was before we even had the inspection resolution. But he put on there, they were going to do it, said he was going to provide receipts. We get all the receipts. Guess what they didn't pay to have inspected and worked on? The AC. So I call them and I'm like, listen, I see you guys did the furnace, but you didn't do the air conditioner. And he was, and right away got defensive and was like, well, what are they going to do to them? They don't do anything to air conditioners. And I'm like, yeah, they do. They clean the coils. And there are a lot of things they do, right? Make sure they're working. And he's like, well, they had the neighbor come out. I go, and this is exactly where I use this. I said to him, listen, put yourself in my buyer's shoes. They have some rando neighbor come out and say he looked at this air conditioning unit and he fixed what was wrong. You have no receipt, no proof it was even done. We know nothing about this guy. How would you feel? And then his attitude completely changed, right? So, like I said, we had to give people grace that he really wasn't probably thinking about my buyer. He was more worried about having to go back to his seller. And just always do that with the other agent and your clients. Put yourself in someone else's shoes, right? All right, let me move on because I could go on and on and on and on and on. All right, so there is a path, right, to negotiating. There are two options. And there's a lot of other things that happen, as you guys know, in between, right? Where you're still negotiating, but this is a simplistic kind of example. Option one, you send an offer in. It's accepted, and you go through the whole process and you close in 30 days, right? 45 days, whatever. Option two, it's completely rejected, or they counter it. Has anyone ever dealt with a counter yet? No? Becky, you have?
Personally, yeah. Just personally.
Okay. What are some of the things you need to be careful with counters? They'll change wording sometimes.
Yeah. You have to be careful. You have to read the whole thing in context.
Whenever I get a counter back, oh, I'm sorry, Brandon, were you talking?
Yeah, I saw an email a couple of months ago from Dora that said that the form have I don't know if it's from Dora or CTM contracts, but if you on a counter change any terms besides a price, the check mark of I'm not negotiating price automatically gets checked. So if you change the price, it actually isn't part of the contract. And there's been people that didn't figure that out until the closing table.
Talk me through, hang on a second. What's the check mark again?
There's a check mark on the counter form that says, I'm not negotiating price. I'm negotiating other terms besides price. But apparently CTM contracts, if you put terms in the counter, there are anything other than price, it automatically checks that box for you. You have to uncheck it if you're negotiating other terms and you're negotiating price. Otherwise, you might think your counter's been accepted with the terms and the price, and they've only accepted the terms and they haven't accepted your lower price. And so then the seller's expecting one price and the buyer's expecting another price, and they don't even know that this email said there've been cases where they didn't even know the disconnect until they got the closing table.
How would you, that doesn't even make sense to me. The last statement doesn't even make sense because there's more than that counter offer and that contract that go to the closing table, right? Because you got to take care of your lender. And if the lender's doing financing for one.
Right. Well, the lender was doing financing for one, whether it was the correct one or not. Like I said, it's just it's a gotcha in the forms this year that people need.
I'll have to, Brandon, when we go on our break, I'm going to investigate there because I've never seen that.
I'll look up the email and I'll look up the email and send it to you. Like I said, I don't know if it's just one of those random DRE emails or an email from CTME contracts, but I thought it was very interesting.
Wow.
Huh.
That's scary.
Yeah, I'm going to look at that because I don't ever remember that. There's just, honestly, it's like the boxes for all of the dates. And then you could do the price, and then there's additional provisions where you like add the other stuff or other changes, it says in the counter. But let me take a look at it, and when we're on one of our breaks, and I'll see what I can figure out. Okay, so let's move on. All right, so who do you negotiate with? You guys, who are the people you're negotiating with?
Your potential clients.
The
agents.
You negotiate basically with your own buyer or seller, right? The other side of the transaction through their agent. You're negotiating with their agent, right? Oh, one other thing. If you get a counter proposal, can you do a counter to a counter? No.
No? Oh, you can't.
Nope. You have to rewrite the original contract.
Yeah.
So you have to do a new CBS. You don't counter a counter. So if you, let's say you're a selling agent and you know that that you're going to counter, it's always best to call the agent and just kind of talk through what you're countering.
Yeah.
Right? So that there aren't any surprises. You don't have to end up starting all over. Right? Because anything could happen in that time. They could find a different house and you could blow up the whole deal. So it's always better to, like I said, have conversations, negotiate with the other party and say that you're countering. So it's not a shock, okay? Yeah, so it's your clients, the other agent on the other side, and through the agent, the seller or buyer's agent, right?
Yeah.
You are likely to encounter the same agents on the other side of the transactions over and over again. We already talked about this. So if you don't do a good job, they're going to remember. So make sure you're really communicating well with the other side. Actually, I had a brand new agent here. She was in my PC, and one of her gifts was communicating with other agents. They all loved her. It was the strangest thing. She would call me like, okay, what do I say? And I kind of coach her through what she should say when she calls. But they all loved her. She really learned. She had like an art to it. And I think it's because she was in management for so long. So a lot of you are going to be fine with it anyway, because you just through life, you've learned how to negotiate, right? So I was supposed to like have one or two of you share your thinking. What do you think so far about what we're talking about?
A lot of it's just common sense, and just being a reasonable actor, and hopefully you get to
Oh, I like that.
get by another rational actor.
Exactly. And I'm telling you guys, it is hard. Where it's like you could feel the swear word coming up through your throat. And you
No,
just
I'll
have to
just say one thing. I came from the liquor industry. Dealing with realtors is so much easier than dealing with alcoholics. I mean, you haven't seen bad till you have an alcoholic trying to buy their daily ration, and they're flustered and their hands are shaking and they can't even get their wallet out of their pocket. It gets ugly.
Hey, I worked with one time I was on a transaction and the agent would call me from a bar bombed. Yeah. And she'd be like, you should come out with us. I'm like, no, thank you.
No.
You sound like an idiot.
You know, now that I think about this, I did a lot of purchasing on my first career as a purchasing agent. And I did a lot of special orders. So yeah, I guess I have done negotiation more than I think. But yeah, but that was just purchasing, right? You just argued over what the price was. It wasn't all these other pieces and parts. It's like,
Yeah,
no.
but you use some of that same tactic, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're not doing it for yourself. So you have to keep it more in check, which is hard sometimes, like I said.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of stories that agents like to make the negotiation about them and what they can get out of somebody, rather than, because they're going to go back to their client and say, oh, well, see what I did for you.
Right.
And that's great, but you're not going to want to work with that again.
Exactly. All right, so let's move on here.
Okay.
All right, so the common points of negotiations. What is this? Oh, here we go. The most common points of negotiations fall into two categories, either pricing or terms, right? Pricing is usually a primary factor in negotiations. It is all about the cost of the property, right? The terms are either financial, time-based, or both. Some examples can be closing costs, closing dates, repairs, etc. What are some other additional items you think you might be negotiating throughout?
Inspection items.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a big one.
Inspection items that personal property or property being left on the property.
Post occupancy agreements.
Oh, that's a good one. Post hoc.
I have it on my list. Exactly. That's a good one. And in addition to post closing, how about closing date? How about right now, closing costs?
Oh, closing cost. Yes, closing costs. That's a big one.
And you guys, you know, the contract, there's all these different fees. Status letter fee, this fee, right? Who's paying for title? All that. It's all stuff you can negotiate, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the market was cuckoo, I mean, 99% of the time, the seller picks title, right?
Yep.
But when everything was getting cuckoo, people were paying for the title too. But keep in mind, this was something when I first started, I didn't know. I'd be like, oh, they're paying for the title work. Who pays for the loans title work?
The lender. Sorry, the buyer.
The buyer.
Right. So just keep that in mind when you're telling them, oh, they're gonna pay for title, they're paying for their title work, but they're gonna have to pay for the lenders. Because they'll see it and they're like, you told me that, so just be careful that you make that clear. Just something to think about. Yeah, so I mean, all those things are negotiable, all the terms, who pays for what, all of that is negotiable. Anyone else have any other ideas about what could be negotiable? What if someone has a hot tub? This is a really good one because this is
what if they have a hot tub and the buyers don't want the hot tub and the sellers want to leave it?
You put it as an exclusion.
Right. But the buyers don't want it and the sellers won't take it.
Then that's a negotiation, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the seller wants someone has to like die at the stake here. Like someone has to give, right?
Right. It's like,
so,
okay, if you don't want it, then remove it. Well, I don't want to pay for it to be removed.
Yeah, I don't know. If I was a seller there, I'd be like, who doesn't want a hot tub? You sound kind of nutty to me. I'm kind of going to cut back on this deal.
I know. I don't want
That's kind of nuts.
I agree with that.
Well, the other thing you guys keep in mind, a lot of times they put it as an exclusion with no intention of ever leaving it or ever taking it because they're hard to move, right?
They're hard to move, they're hard to get rid of.
Right. So they'll put it as an exclusion to use as a negotiating tool. You'll see that a lot. And like the movie theater chairs and things like that, so that they can sweeten the deal later. They'll put it as exclusions and then hope that you'll ask for it. So, I mean, I'm not saying all the time, but a lot of times you can get hot tubs, even if it says it's an exclusion, because they're so hard to move, right? And if it were me and that was my seller, I would probably tell them you need to move it, right? I had one time, go ahead, Becky.
What's that?
Go.
Who was talking? Was it Becky or?
Same person, it's me. So the other thing is if you take it out or you put it as an exclusion and then put it back in after the inspection, as a buyer, I don't want no busted up hot tub. I don't want no piece of trash. Get it out of there. It was part of the exclusion.
I'm sorry, but I'm not accepting that counter with that clause.
Exactly. I don't want that.
I'm not removing the hot tub. You either give me another offer or we're done.
Right.
How's that for role play?
Tell them, you tell the seller, put it on Craigslist for free. Right? Someone will take it. Because I wrote a contract once, it was like a couple and they never were going to have kids or anything like that. And they had the swing set in the back and it back to a golf course. They didn't want to look through this swing set that they're never going to use. And it was listed as an inclusion. So I put it as an exclusion. And the agent called and they're like, so why did you put it? They don't want it. We want you guys to remove it. And I gave them the idea, put it on Craigslist for free, tell someone come and take it down, it's yours. And that's what they did, right? So you can't, even if something says it's an inclusion, they don't want it, just always put it as an exclusion, right? And then you'll have a conversation about it later.
Yeah, part of the negotiation.
Right. And at some point you have to say to your buyer or seller, is this worth blowing the deal up? Right? They don't want it or they do want it. Is this worth it?
Yeah.
Right? Throw it on Craigslist, especially like swing sets and stuff. People will come and take those down all day long because they're expensive. So anyway. Any questions about that? All right. A way that you can use questioning to determine what might be negotiated is to ask the other agent what? What do you call and ask the other agent before you even write an offer?
Is there any other offers?
Yeah.
It's one thing.
Price negotiable.
Nah, I don't know if I'd start there. What is important to the seller besides price?
Oh,
You need to understand what their pain point is, correct? And if you can get that information, it's so good. So let's say the agent says they need a quick close. They bought a house in Indiana and it needs to close. They're closing on it in 40 days. You need to get this under contract so they can close on the other property. What does that tell you?
They're motivated.
Right. So could you maybe, if there's no other offers, go in lower? Right? You could probably.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay. During my study period, this question came up over and over and over and over again. And it was, what can you discuss, or what can you discuss with others, and what can't you discuss with others? And it was always price, terms, and motivation. You cannot discuss price, terms, and motivation. Cannot discuss price, terms, and motivation. It was I'm not kidding. The worded 1,000 different ways, 5 questions on any one of my quick quizzes. It was like, but yet, I don't feel like that's really the truth here, because we're talking about my seller needs to move. We need to close by this. We just bought a home. Wouldn't that be terms of motivation?
It would. But as the listing agent, you're doing right by your client, correct?
Yeah, because
And
I
I
need
would
to make
say,
sure that they get what they want.
if they need a certain price, what you relay is they're under contract in their house, they would like a quick close, but they're sticky on their price. They're not going to come much lower, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why you're doing it is to benefit your seller, right? Because they want to close on the other property. So it always depends on whether you're hurting the other, your client. That's what they care about, right?
Don't you have to get their permission?
Yeah.
You really should. You really should. My thing is, if you know that they're going to lose that house and that's their dream house, I would say it. I would never talk about exact price. I don't care if I know the other agent. And why is that? Why would I talk about one and not the other?
You're giving up your negotiating, dare I say, power? You're giving up a piece of negotiation, right? Kind of like the first person who mentions price loses, right? That sort of thing.
I mean, the other thing is, let's say I say to the agent, they call it, and you're listed at 350. You know from conversations that they'll take 330 all day long, right? But what if their buyer would have paid 345? What did you just do to your client?
You just lost 15K.
You never, ever talk about price. And that's why. Because you don't know what the other party is willing to pay, correct?
Right. And until it's on paper. Yeah.
Right. And what if you call and they have 2 other offers on the table and they're still in a hurry? You know you can't negotiate on price very much, right? Because there's 2 other offers. And if that listing agent's smart, they're not going to talk about price.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I had that one house in Aurora this year, I had 13 offers and I mean, they were pounding me. You can't tell me anything. I'll tell you it's above list. Well, how much above list? Greater than 10%. I'd say stuff like that, but I would not give price.
Yeah.
My job is to get the most money for who? My client.
Yeah.
If I gave them an exact number, they'd come in $1,000 more.
Yeah.
When they might have paid 10,000 more.
Mhm.
So just always remember who you're working for. Like you said, you should get permission. Have it in an email. Say, would you be okay with me sharing that you're under contract in another house? So you'd like to close fast, right? But normally you're talking to them and they'll kind of express whether or not you can say it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, my thing is always, I want to do right by my people. And if they're going to lose their dream home in Tennessee and you know you can get an offer and you can say, listen, if you lowball, it's not going to happen. Right? So don't send me a lowball, but just know time is of the essence. If they can send something clean, quick close, you know, fair price, they'd be all over it. So, any questions? All right. We just asked any questions, same thing. All right. So now we're going to go like kind of more into the 3 Ps even more. You learn about what can be negotiating, pricing and terms. Now you're going to learn about a model that you can use to work through negotiation. It's called the 3 Ps of negotiation. So the 3 Ps, prepare. Preparation is the key to building confidence and ensuring a smooth negotiation process. What do you think that means?
Know what you're going to be talking about and have your facts, have your ducks in a row, right? Don't go in there and going, well, I think the price is this, and hang on, let me pull all these numbers up. Be prepared.
So I have a template. You know, I showed you guys one time all my templates CTM. And I have one as a cover letter for when I send offers. And a lot of times I have already relayed this, but I want to refresh their memory because they might be talking to a lot of different agents. And in the cover letter, let's say I'm going to go under asking, and I have a reason why. I will put in there. Listen, based on the comps of, sorry, this, and this, I believe that my client is making a fair offer. I'll say something like that. And then I'll maybe talk about, hey, all these other ones were totally remodeled, right? So, and your property isn't. And it's going to cost this, you know, you just kind of explain why you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's because I prepare for it, right? I know what I'm going to say. And what if you're trying to get all your ducks in a row? The person says, you go on a showing appointment. And they're like, I want to write an offer. Well, there's like an echo. I wonder why. And someone says, I want to write an offer, and you don't know how to use CTM. You really don't know how to write a contract. Is that a good, smooth negotiation process?
Probably not.
What if you don't have your set things that you do for every single contract you write or every single negotiation you have with a potential client, right?
Oh.
I mean, it starts not even when you're writing an offer. It starts when you have to meet with the client and you're going to work with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know how to do all those things, you're going to look like a dork, right? You're going to look like you're not prepared. You're going to be flustered. So what are people going to think about your confidence?
0.
Exactly. Who did we lose? Sorry, I gotta keep track of this. I'll get in trouble if I don't.
I don't think we lost anyone. We added Sandy and Chris. Chris just joined us.
And Mark's here, Becky's here, Diane's here, Sandy's here. Oh, and then I counted wrong. Okay, so we have Chris. So you need to be prepared, right? To have these discussions. What are some of the things you can do to prepare? Let's start with your initial consultation with your client. What could you have ready?
Your consultation packet.
Exactly. Right. And what if they say, I like the meadows in Castle Rock, and I want you to do a safe search for me, and you don't know how to do the MLS? They want a main floor master, right? And you don't know how to do a safe search for them to send them any new listings on the MLS. How are you going to look?
Well, not good.
And what if they say, can you do a search for a main floor master? And you're not familiar with the MLS, what's going to happen? You wouldn't even know that you can do it. Right? Remember I told you guys that, I mean, there's like, at the very bottom of the MLS, there's like additional stuff where you can pick other things, like you're going to get people that want a south-facing driveway because they want the snow to melt, or other people that have religious beliefs about luck, right? Or others that want an 8 in their address, things like that. You can do searches. You need to be really good at that MLS, right? And then the other thing is have carts. So every single time I do like a CMA, I start a cart. Have you guys ever worked with the carts?
Ever works with what?
They're called carts. So you can create a cart. Let's say you're comping a property. You go down into the MLS and you say add a cart, and then it saves all of your progress. And you can eliminate and add things to the cart so that you can keep looking at them, right? I always create a cart. That's what I'm saying. You guys need to be on this now because you don't want to be caught with your pants down, right? When people are asking for this stuff. All right. Also, if you're not ready and know what you're going to say when you call the agent, and you're just like, hi, my client liked the house. I think I'm going to write an offer. How serious are they going to take you?
Not.
Right. You got to be going in there confident, asking smart questions. So that's why we do the script practices. Just again, so you don't look like dorks. And then you need to know how to present, move into the negotiation process by presenting the offer, having the conversation with the other party, the other agent, writing a very informative and professional looking cover letter, right? So in my cover letter, I put, these are, my client such and such are excited to be writing an offer on your property. And then I summarize what my offer is and put in there the highlights. This person's financially sound, pre-approved, and it's included with the offer. Quick close, and then put the closing date. I summarize all the highlights, right? Post-closing occupancy for free for 2 weeks after close, stuff like that, right? You should be doing the same. So knowing how to present it in a professional manner. And then position, move both parties closer until you have full agreement. Conversations. Like I said, do you want to, if it's your listing, you had no action on it, which is happening right now, right? Someone sends you an offer and you're like, I hate the dates. I hate the terms, right? They want 3 days before closing for insurance objection. Does that seem reasonable? Is it going to take someone 3 weeks to call their insurance company?
No.
You're going to want to counter that date, right? But should you just be sending the counter, or should you be calling that other agent and saying, hey, you know, I'm gonna be sending you a counter. I just wanna let you know I'm gonna be changing these dates and why, right? So that they're not surprised. Otherwise, if they don't sign your counter, that original contract is gone.
Mhm.
And then they have to rewrite it. You could lose that deal. And you might not get another contract. You want to have those terms negotiated, if possible, ahead of time. There will be times, oh my gosh, I'm losing my voice again. There will be times that you can't get a hold of the other agent. Try texting first, because some of them are horrible with their phones, and see if you can negotiate even through text before you just send things blindly. And sometimes you're going to have no choice because they're just not responding to anything. And you're going to have to send things blindly and just do your best, but avoid that at all costs. Okay. And I've had to do it and sent offers, and then 2 days later, the agent's like, oh, I'm on my boat in Florida. I didn't have well, you know what? What should you do if you're going on a boat and you're not going to have cell coverage?
Let people know. Have a backup.
Backup. You never leave people with no one to show, because there's going to be companies out there who will be more than happy to show your clients showings, and Mark knows this. And that's how these companies steal your clients, because they have people helping, right? Make it easy for the client to see the house. Do not ever leave town without somebody covering for you, ever. Okay? And put that in your email signature. You know, you can have the vacation. I'm sorry, I might be slow to respond. If you need an immediate response, please contact this person. Right? Put it in the broker remarks. Contact this person on these dates. Just make sure you have yourself covered, because there's nothing worse than that. All right. So for repair, we're going to go more into detail. Know what your goal is. Know your client. Think ahead. Set clear expectations. Be informed. Obey the laws. Right, Diane?
Fine.
Loosely.
Detail.
Just always remember that you're just trying to do right by your client, right? And always go with that at heart, you'll be fine. Set clear expectations, be informed, obey the laws, know the documents inside and out. So know your goal. Have a clear goal of reaching a win-win agreement in which the buyer and seller are satisfied with the outcomes of negotiation. If they are not, it will get ugly. And there's times where you have no choice and it just, no one's going to be happy. The person's unreasonable. But whenever you can, try to just keep it so that everyone feels like they won on both sides.
Well, especially if your client feels like they got taken, they're not going to be mad at somebody else. They're going to be mad at you for not negotiating their point.
Right. Exactly.
So.
And know your client. Learn the areas in which they are willing to negotiate and where they will stand firm. So what are the deal breaker sticking points? And everyone's are different, right? Especially in inspections and closing dates. And I can tell you, normally it's based on clients' previous bad experiences. So let's say someone bought a house and they were in the house 6 months and then they learned they had to replace the roof. What do you think they're going to be super concerned about?
That inspection.
And the roof.
Well, yeah, and the roof.
So if it were my client and it's a sticking point for them, I would have them do an inspection, but guess what I would also do as part of my inspection process?
Get a roofer to look at the roof.
Yes, exactly. I just had a client And they have a client, their daughter's Downs and very sensitive to mold and things. That was super important to her. So guess what she did as part of her inspection?
Mold test?
Yes. So you need to know what are your client's sticking points, right? And another thing, she was super worried about the sprinkler being blown out by October 8th. Guess why?
Freeze.
Why?
October 8th?
If it hasn't been blown out, if there's moisture and there's a freeze, it'll expand and break it. You have to pull it all up and redo it. It's a nightmare.
But why do you think it was so important to her?
Maybe she had to do it. She had bought a house that she had to replace the sprinkler system.
It happened to her.
Well, yeah.
She was under contract in a house. They had a deep freeze. They hadn't blown out that sprinkler line. And then she bought the property. Guess what?
They ruptured.
So guess what I wrote? Inspection objection.
The sprinkler.
Sprinklers are to be in working order.
Oh, sorry. Here, let me silence my phone. No, what I wrote was I would the seller to have the sprinkler professionally blown out by October 8th. And you asked to have the receipt sent. Right? That's all I did. And guess what? They blew it out by October 8th. Client was super happy. But then guess what happened?
The grass died because it's still 80 degrees.
No, I get a call. I'm camping. And I get a text and she's like, I'm really worried. We have a freeze warning. And I don't know if the hoses are on. Couldn't get a hold of anybody. Couldn't get a hold of the listing agent, whatever. Probably not something you should do. Called a different agent and said, can you go there and just unhook those hoses, right? We're not fixing anything. But one of them couldn't get it off. I'm like, I'm not risking breaking this, right? Or she said that.
Yeah.
And then I went when I came back, so you don't. So just let the listing agent know, hey, we're gonna go over there, just undo the hoses for you. You're not responding. Sent a picture of the ones that we couldn't get and said, just wanted to let you know this is what we did. My client's super worried about freezing, right?
Yeah.
So you just go the extra mile, but because they had this experience in their past, they're freaky about it.
Yeah.
And you'll see everyone has like something based on their past that they're super paranoid about. So know what those are so that you're covering them when you're asking for things. Had I not known that, I would have been like, what else, right, on the sprinkler? But instead we wrote it in inspection objection. All right, so think ahead, anticipate what the other party intends to get out of the negotiation. Write down how you think they may counter the offer and how you plan to handle it, all right? Just kind of know. So let me think of a good example. Sorry, I'm trying to think. So if you ask for a new furnace because it's old, do sellers usually fix what's not broken?
No.
No, I don't care if it's 75-year-old water heater. If it works, chances are they're not going to, right?
Yeah.
So what would you expect to get back in your inspection resolution? Anyone have a guess?
No.
I would expect to probably get something like an HVAC company will come, service and inspect the existing, right? And make any necessary repairs or something like that. And then you, in your mind, you can say, all right, that's probably fair, right? And maybe let's ask for a home warranty in addition, right? So when you're doing those, you're gonna know which ones they're probably gonna be like, especially in inspection. Sometimes you'll get like buyers who want to ask for every little thing. So the next thing I'm gonna talk about is kind of probably one of the most important parts of it. Set clear expectations. Does anyone know why that's super important?
Because everybody needs to know what is being discussed, what the, I mean, you don't want a misunderstanding of, oh, I thought you meant this and X is Y, because then it's just a finger pointing contest back and forth.
Well,
I didn't understand that, or I didn't, what, Brandon?
I was gonna say, and people tend to make assumptions, like,
Oh, that's a good one
you
too.
know, they tend to make unrealistically optimistic assumptions.
Under promise, deliver.
Exactly. The other thing is, what if it's a first-time home buyer and they get the inspection report? Have you guys ever dealt with a first-time home buyer? Their eyes are like, right? Because they get it and it has every little thing on there. So before you even do the inspection, what should you be saying to them?
Expect a shit ton of problems. I mean, I've talked to inspectors before and they're like going through this house, man, this house is in such great shape. Boy, your client's getting a really good deal. I haven't seen a house this good shape in a while. And there's still like 60 findings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what would the conversation be you'd have with your buyer in that situation?
I mean, it was exactly that. I mean, I told Kyle, I said, look at the ones they marked as red. You know, I told him exactly what happened. I said, hey, the inspector did this. And then I even called the inspector later, like, man, there's more problems here than I thought. And he's like, yeah, I had a new guy and he made some mistakes. And I even told Kyle that, like, look, this is what the guy said. Like, let's just go through line by line. Let's see what you decide is important. And you know, and that's what we did.
So I usually start out by saying, listen, the inspector, their job is to basically create you a maintenance list. Maintenance is different than what you'd ask for in inspection. And say, if you start asking for like a cover plate on an outlet because it has a crack in it, when they're $150 at Home Depot, the important things, what do you think they're going to do with the important things? Nothing. They're going to get ticked off because you're going to send a laundry list this big.
Yeah.
In inspection, right? And then all the things that are really important get missed. So I always let my clients know that, listen, you have to consider this a maintenance list. You need to only pick the things that are health, safety, and things that could be really expensive, right? If they come out.
Yeah.
And if there's something that's questionable, we can always get a second inspection, like a follow-up inspection. Like I said, the roof. If someone's like, hey, there's some hail damage, you know. But I guess like even with the roof with hail damage, it has to be like a hail mark every so many feet for the insurance to even like scrape it. I think it's every 3 square feet. So you need to set those clear expectations that they're not going to get every single thing, especially someone that's never bought anything, right?
Yeah.
Any questions on that about how you have that conversation? All right, I'm gonna see like some pages. It's really weird. So be informed. What if you go in there and you ask for something and you find out what you asked for because there's a crack. Have you guys ever talked to an inspector about concrete?
Nope,
Guess what their motto is?
it's concrete.
It's not a matter of if it'll crack, it's a matter of when it'll crack in
Okay.
Colorado. You're
Well,
always gonna have some cracking, always. So what if you go in, there's a teeny little hairline crack? And you're like, I want that fixed. The only way they can fix it is to tear out the whole thing, right?
Yeah. No.
But you need to know that ahead. How much is that gonna cost? Is that reasonable? Right? What if you find out from your phone call that the seller needs to close within 30 days or they're gonna go in foreclosure? And then you send an offer and you want a 45-day close.
Whoops.
You weren't informed. You should have known that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just be informed about what you're asking for, always. Obey the laws, right? Know the documents inside and out. I have hammered this into you guys so much. You need to know what you're doing and not wait until, you know, the client wants to write an offer. Practice. Now we're going to talk about asking purposeful questions. Purposeful questions provide you with the points you will negotiate on, provides insight on where you and your client will leverage, sets clear expectations. What time is it? I want to make sure I'm not, oh, I've been talking a long time. Allows you to get to know your client and their goal, helps you learn to make it a win-win for both parties, right? As soon as I get done with this slide, guys, we'll take a little break, 5 minutes, okay? So asking questions allows you to establish and uncover the objectives and goals of your client and those on the other side of the transaction. In other words, you gain more information, right?
Mm-hmm.
You will strengthen your ability to negotiate and increase your chances of having a win-win negotiation. Benefits of asking questions: provide you with the points you will negotiate on, provides insight, sets clear expectations, allows you to get to know your client and their goal, helps you learn what will make a win-win negotiation for both parties, right? So this is kind of a funny one. And I had a client and she was a single woman. She had just lost her daughter to a drug overdose on the day of our inspection. She was sweetest woman ever. Long story short, like some of the things she asked for, I knew was goofy. Like one of them was, there was a wasp nest in the shed. She wanted that. So I'm like, oh God. But I didn't want to like not let her get everything she wanted because she was like a basket case. So I just called the agent. I told him everything that happened. And I said, listen, she's a single woman. She's very frazzled right now. And I know this is stupid, but if you could make this happen, that would be awesome. He did. We negotiated, he understood. But that's because you know what I mean? I had the insight to know where she was at mentally. And I was able to communicate that over to that agent and get that agent, you know, pull at their heartstrings a little bit. So anyway, why don't you guys take a 5-minute break? I think my voice needs it anyway.
Okay.
All right, so 5 minutes.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I found that article about the counter offers.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Can you email it to me?
Yeah, I'll send you. Yes, it was from it's from DRE, and it was they had included a article from Rice Insurance Service Centers, and it's very interesting.
Yeah,
But
forward it to me. I'd like to see what they're talking about.
Okay, I will. I mean, I was looking at CTE contracts, but so I just tell you, I mean, there is I didn't don't remember seeing this before, but in section 3, which is modification of section 4, there is a box that says remove purchase price and terms. So doesn't matter what you put in that table down there in the counter. If you check that box, then whoever gets the counter will see purchase price and terms are NA.
That makes sense. I need to look at it though.
Yeah,
I think that you have to actually physically check the box though, don't you?
I don't know, and it may not be a CTME thing, and they didn't point fingers. They, like, interestingly, in the wording, they said, it's important to carefully review all fields in electronic forms and consider whether or not any boxes should be checked or unchecked, even if they automatically default one way or the other. So somebody's got a weird default. They're not saying, because I guess this is written by their lawyers.
So someone messed up, Brandon, like really badly.
Yeah, and there were actually, they say that there were actually claims against realtors because of this. Because it's not even, it's like whoever gets the counter doesn't even see that the price is in there, and the other side is saying, oh, the price is in there, and doesn't notice the box is checked.
Interesting. All right, put my my email address in the chat.
Okay.
Would you mind sending that to me? Because I just want to read it.
I'll forward it right now.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna go use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. I know. Okay. Okay, let's see who's still here. I can't see anything because I have my glasses on. So we still have. Are you guys finding this interesting? Or are my stories boring the crap out of you? Oh, you're all muted. Set Mark.
I like stories.
That's how I am. I love stories, like so that you can hear how things worked out. Okay, you guys are all still here. Good job. All right, let me get rid of this message box here. Okay, what did I do with my notes?
Whose email address is that?
Me.
Oh, duh. Oh my gosh.
So Brandon said he was going to send me that article because I'm curious to see what they're talking about. It's something I guess. I mean, I review contracts before Kevin does. I want to make sure I'm not missing something.
Oh yeah.
All right. So where were we? I think we were here, right? Did I move it on accident or anything? Okay, I think we're on this. Wait a minute. Okay, I got ahead of myself. All right, so now we're going to talk about open-ended questions versus closed. What are open-ended questions? Can someone give me an example?
How was your weekend this week?
Let's make it real estate.
What do you like about the house?
Anyone else have any?
What would you consider a decent, no, that would be a single answer.
What are you looking for?
Very good. Both of them good answers. Anyone else want to throw one in before I lose my voice some more?
No, I think.
Okay. So basically open-ended questions, they're questions that have unlimited response options, right? For instance, what additional information should I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it important for you to close in a 30-day period?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? One other one is tell me more, right?
More about that. That's my favorite one. Yeah.
Gosh, my phone's like blowing up. Probably all scanned too. How about closed-ended questions? Could anyone give me examples?
What day do you want to close? What do you think the price should be?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want an inspection or not?
Oh no, that's never a question. Do you ever sell a house without an inspection?
I have seen a lot of houses in my area sold without inspections. Yes.
Those agents are blubbering idiots. Does anyone know why?
You'd have no idea what you were buying.
Right.
Who are they going to go after when the house comes down on them because it was structurally unsound and rotting wood everywhere? Who are they going to go for? Who has the money?
The agent.
Right. You have insurance. They're going to go for the broker. They're going to go for the seller. They're going to go for the seller agent, and they're going to go for the buyer agent. You always tell them to get an inspection, just so you know.
Oh yeah.
You're like, damn, I shouldn't have said that.
Well, but in this little area that I'm in, I see a lot of them go.
Those agents are setting themselves up for lawsuits.
Well, but most of them are getting flipped, so I'm sure and the houses are in such disrepair.
So if that happens, have in writing somewhere
Mm-hmm.
that, and even if they say they're going to skip it, put in your counteroffer that they can still do an inspection.
Yeah.
And put an inspection date in there.
Yeah.
So that it's not on you if you're the selling agent. Okay. It protects you.
Yeah. We had
anyway. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
We had a house here that they said flat out they're not doing an inspection. And there was a pushback, and they're like, we're requiring you to wear hazmat suits, boots, and headgear and hand gear to go and look at this property. What kind of inspection are you expecting?
Well, I guess you'd want to know what you're dealing with. So is it a meth house?
Yeah.
It wasn't a meth house. It was,
Really?
it was just, oh God, it was horrible.
It sounds like it needed to be knocked down.
Well, they took it down to studs and almost to the floor. So.
Sounds like a meth house. I'll tell you what. That's usually what they have to do.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, so some of the examples of closed-ended questions were, do you have to sell your home by a specific date? Do you have any other offers? What is the bottom line price you would consider? All right. So what happens when you call an agent and you say, do you have any other offers? What do they usually say?
Oh, I've got 2 or 3.
So what's a better way of wording it? Do you have any offers in hand? I always say that. Always. Because they're going to say, oh, yeah, I've been threatened some and I got 2 coming. They all say that. So I would say, how many do you have?
In hand.
In hand. And then the other thing is, let's say you saw that house 3 days ago and they tell you they have another one coming, and then you look at the showing schedule and you can see no one else has looked at the house. Not saying that it couldn't happen, so you have to warn your client, but chances are you think there's really another offer coming if no one has seen that house but you in a week.
No.
It
Well,
can
maybe
still
it
happen.
was- Well, maybe,
Okay, sorry.
maybe it was somebody that had seen the house before you.
That's possible. So that's what you have to tell your client. Let's say, you know, no one else has seen it. It could possibly be a double end situation where the listing agent showed it, right? Or it could be that someone saw it a while ago and just went back to it.
Mm-hmm.
But no one's looked at it in the last week. So take it for what it is. Sometimes people don't tell the truth, right? Why is it more beneficial to use open-ended questions as you are preparing for a negotiation?
Get more of the story. You get more of what's really they're thinking.
Well, and the other thing is, a lot of times they don't even know. You know what I'm saying? So as they start talking, more things come out. That, you know what I'm saying? And you find out like that, those little bits of information, like I did with the sprinkler.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to do that, because you're going to get more information. And sometimes it's kind of like, has anyone ever been to counseling? I know it's probably too personal. Well, I've been to counseling before, and they always ask open-ended questions, right? Because what's the whole point? They're trying to get you to come to the conclusion themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not tell you what your problem is. They want you to decide for yourself. So they ask you open-ended questions. Try to get, you know, the right information out of you. Same kind of thing. All right. So what and why questions? Let's dig into some specific questions that can help you learn about your client's needs and create a focus for a negotiation. So 2 of the options would be, what would happen if, right? So like, what would happen if you didn't sell your house by the end of November? Right? And then let's say the answer is, couldn't move forward. I couldn't move for my new job transfer. Okay, so why is that important to you that, you know what I mean? Why wouldn't you be able to move? Well, my family and I would be separated, and I refuse to let that happen, right? It helps you gain more insight. Anyone else have a good example for that? What would happen if?
What would happen if they didn't take the hot tub?
All right, how about, why is that important to you?
Yeah, why is it so important that they take that hot tub? Or why is it important that they leave their draperies? Or
Seriously, if I was a seller of that, I would say, look, let's think about it for a second. This hot tub is heavy. It involves removing this heavy thing, taking it down the stairs, doing a lot of plumbing work. I mean, do you really want to take that chance of my guys damaging this house and ruining this whole deal? Or do you want to just take it as is and maybe worry about the hot tub later?
That's good.
Yeah, and give them the Craigslist out. So, I mean, that's perfect. Gives them that option.
That was a good example, guys.
That's a very
You
good.
get it. You get what we're talking about with the what would happen after why it's important to you.
Yep.
Right? And like I said, the why it's important to you, it could be, like I said, usually it's something that happened to someone in their past, right? All right. Let's move on to scenario. I have to pull something else up, so I'm going to unshare my screen. Hold on here. Let me unshare my screen. So do you, any of you guys have the participant guide?
I have it downloaded, but I don't. Oh, the participant guide. Yeah.
All right. So I want to put it on the screen too. Hold on one second. Let me get this up. I'm going to share it. I want to put you into groups. How many of you guys are there now? Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's the scenario you're going to be working with. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'll do 3 groups. Is there anyone on here that can't join? Because I don't want someone alone. So everyone's going to join. If you don't, oh, okay. So I'm not going to put her in a group. Hold on one second. All right. So I'm not going to put her in a group. So we'll still do 3.
Okay.
And I'm going to assign them manually. If I see someone didn't join. All right. So you 2. Assign. I'm just going alphabetically, guys. All right. Assign.
Do you want to reach out to someone?
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna have one group have 3 people in it. All right. All right. I will see you back in 10 minutes. I want you guys to practice this. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bless you. Oh, Mark, I didn't put you in a room. I'm sorry.
No worries.
You're probably like, damn, this is good. All right, here you go.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. Where? Don't you hate it when you go to do something and it's like split second? And the moment you start to do something, you realize you've completely forgotten what you were going to do.
Yeah, that's called old age.
Oh, is that what it is?
Oh,
Are you calling me old there, Mark?
I'm just saying that we all got
the fighting words there.
That's the story of my life.
Elaine, you got 6 kids. You get a pass, huh?
Yeah, definitely. That sounds like.
Becky, you have 6 kids?
No, Elaine.
No. Why do you have so many kids?
I'm an only child.
Is that an open-ended question or a closed?
Open.
That's awesome. Oh man, I'm an only child. I guess it was boring, so had to make life.
Yeah,
more.
you won't be lonely at all.
Oh my gosh. I have 2 and I feel overwhelmed. I can't imagine 6.
It's crazy.
I bet. And you're young.
Thank you. I'll just go with that.
Well, you look young, so there you go.
Thank you.
He's young at heart.
Yeah, that's what I say, right? You're only as old as you feel, and I feel old.
Yeah, I get it. Oh, I forgot to turn my camera on. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Let me stop this. Turn my camera on.
You ever notice that when
You don't like talk? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if any others of you notice how the age of what is young just keeps going up as you age?
Yes,
Yeah, it's very convenient.
When I was a kid, people would say, "Oh my God, Aunt Joey's friend died. He was only 35." I was thinking, 35 is old. What are you talking about? But now I literally heard this the other day. It may have been the Keller Williams. I don't remember who it was. It's like, oh, so and so, has had a heart attack. He's so young. He's only 76. I'm like, okay, come on. This is getting ridiculous. Like, let's just tap the brakes here. Let's just admit that 76 is not young.
Only.
Well, I always think of old as like over 80.
Yeah, me too.
You too?
Yes.
I'm with Mark. I don't think I always thought that. I thought 50 was old when I was 20.
Right.
Right.
That's all relative. All right, so let's keep going. So now we're on the present part of it. Do you guys all feel like you understand the prepare stage? Let me start there.
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's go over some best practices to keep in mind when presenting to a co-op agent. The first thing would be to call the other agent. That's important because why?
Just open communication.
Yep.
Work together to close the deal. Yeah.
What's one of the main points of calling before you write an offer?
Get intel. find out if there's other offers in hand,
Exactly.
and get a feel for that agent. If they sound like they're really desperate to move this or kind of nonchalant about it, you can kind of like your point number 2, looking for those nonverbal cues.
Right, exactly. And sometimes they won't tell you everything, but you can tell just by how they answer the questions. So, I mean, number 1 is call the other agent. You're building rapport and asking questions, right? Pay attention to nonverbal cues like pauses and voice qualities. Like Mark said, you guys know this. You're not 5 and don't understand, or like my son was with no social antennas when he was younger. So you guys should all be able to do that. Keep quiet once you present an offer. Why is that important?
Keep the tension on the other party. They've got to make a response. You've already given your spiel. Ball's in their court.
And then what else? Go ahead.
Stand firm on your price.
Yeah, you don't want to look desperate, right?
Yeah.
If you're calling them every hour, did you present my offer? Did you present my offer? You're going to look desperate, and they're going to know they can counter you back and get probably what they want. I will tell you, if you've heard nothing within 24 hours, I always send like a text or something. Do you have any questions about my offer? But not even like, did you make a decision? Just like, do you have any questions about my offer? Easy. After I send an offer, what should you do?
Stay calm and relaxed.
There's one other thing I want to make sure you do, because I've heard of cases where this happens.
What to do after you've presented your offer?
After you email the offer over from CTM, what should you do?
Email them to let them know that the offer is there. Or email, text. Text.
That's what I always use, call too. And all I say is, just wanted to let you know I sent over an offer for my client, blah, 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 blah. Would you just mind confirming receipt? And because I've heard of agents who say, oh yeah, I sent them this offer. They said they never received it. So just always make sure they received it. And then the other thing is you're warning them to look for it, right? Without saying, hey, buddy, check your email. Just confirm receipt. It's important. Listen carefully to what is important to the other party, right? We talked about this a lot. Ask questions. Do they want to post closing? Do they need 45 days? They're not going to budge on price, but I don't know, they'll throw some more full table in, right? That kind of thing. Like we said, stay calm and relaxed. Don't forget also, and this was something personally I had to work on too. It'll make your buyer and seller more anxious. So I used to be guilty when I first started of sharing every little aspect of what's going on. Don't do that. Like if they're not answering or whatever, hold that tight unless it becomes like a huge, huge issue, right? Where a decision needs to be made. But you want to make this, my thing is I always like to feel like I'm transparent with everybody. But you could end up really getting people upset, right? And then they start creating these scenarios in their head of what's going on the other side, and it's just super unhealthy. Focus on customer needs. What did we talk about? Is this about you closing the transaction and getting paid? It's about your client. Just always remember that, because a lot of times agents get greedy and you're just so desperate for a check. But it's not about that. If you really want to build a business for yourself and make a good name, always go for your client, right? You do a good job for them. And give your offer the best chance. You have to give your advice to your client, right? About how to make your offer strong. But keep in mind, it's still up to them. So you make your case as to why they shouldn't go in $75,000 under because they have 5 offers, right? But if in the end they decide they want to do that, it's still up to them. Okay? And just remember, you're always working to create a positive relationship with your co-op agent. We talked about this before. Emotions can get in the way, and they'll remember how professional you were or you weren't. And even if they behave badly, don't do it. It's just going to bite you in the butt. Okay? Don't send middle finger emojis, in other words. Okay.
Oh, okay. Don't do that.
Note to self. No middle finger emojis, guys. Or anything like that. Just keep your emotions in check. All right, position is the third P. So positioning is about moving both parties closer until they're in total agreement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you engage in this third step, you will acknowledge the common ground, looking for places where the buyer and seller are in agreement, right? So you know what, they're okay with the price, but let's talk about the hot tub. But they want that hot tub to stay. Your buyer wants it to go, right? And acknowledge that as well. Like, hey, they're great on the price, but so talk about the good things along with the bad things, right? This also helps uncover the areas that can be adjusted versus the ones that are set in stone. And if your seller or buyer's like, I'm not moving it, or I'm not taking it, then you're gonna have to figure something else out or really negotiate with the seller. Maybe even say, that's cool, but we want a seller concession of $2,000 so we can have it removed, right? Come to some kind of agreement. Then use what and how questions. We went over that already, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it important? How will this impact you? Blah, 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 blah. Wait, sorry. It's hard because you guys are still pretty little, so I have to keep looking inside. Understand that this is a process. Sometimes you will have to go back and forth multiple times to come to an agreement. And that's why I'm saying communication is so important. Nobody wants to see 17 contracts in CTM because you're not having conversations where you can come into agreement and write it so that it's beneficial to both parties, right?
Yeah.
So make sure that you're, sorry. Oh, wait, what am I talking about here? Oh, okay. Understand the positions. And then the other thing is know when to walk away, right? If they're just not budging and your seller's like, this is just something, it's a deal breaker for me, I'm not giving them $2,000. They're going to take it or leave it. I don't want a deal. You know what? I've been on the market 12 hours and I'm willing to wait. And the buyer's agent's like, well, we're not budging. Then just move on, right? Go to the next person. All right. This book is written. Sometimes you're like it makes you lost. Okay. So, I want you guys to give me just again, because the what and how questions are so important. What are some examples again of what a what question could be?
What would happen if we couldn't get a post-occupancy agreement?
What do you think of this scenario?
Yeah.
Kind of using the hypotheticals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, your initial response when you're calling the agent. What besides price are they looking for in an offer? I mean, it's such an easy question. And you'll find out tons. And then be kind of quiet, right? How about the how? Anyone have an example?
How will this impact you if the price, we can't get the price? What if you
How does
had,
the asking price work with your budget? And
Yeah.
can you, is it?
What if- yeah, what would, how is this going to impact your budget if you do go to 175?
No, that's good for your client. How about for if you're making a phone call to the other agent?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I wanted it both ways. Sorry,
Oh,
I didn't answer correctly.
You want,
So what's a how question you might ask a listing agent when you make your call? So let's use your post-closing occupancy.
How motivated are they?
Yeah.
how
Well,
about
that's,
How many offers in hand you have?
that's kind of open-ended, but what would be a closed-ended question you would ask about how? Let's talk about post-closing occupancy.
how many days are they expecting on their post closing out?
Yeah. How much time do they need, right?
Yeah.
What if they say it's they need 62 days? What do you say?
That's
I mean, in this environment, might say, can we do 61?
Nope. Wrong answer. Wah!
I mean, I would say, let me consult with the buyer, see if that works, that timeline works for them.
Okay, this is not important. I want you guys to understand this is like super important. It was kind of a trick question.
Well, yeah, because in 62 days, you're paying the first payment. No,
Can you write a post-closing occupancy for over 60 days?
apparently not.
If someone wants you to have a post-closing occupancy for over 60 days, you can't. If that happens, it becomes a lease, just so you know.
Oh, I remember this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of other agents don't know that, so just keep that in mind when you're like trying to come up with an agreement. You can do 59, but you cannot do over 60 or it's a lease. And then you need to get a lease involved, and that's, you're not gonna be able to do that. You'll have to get someone else. You'll have to have an attorney draft that up, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions about that? Sorry, it was a trick question because a lot of agents don't even remember that, and they write it in there and you're like, dude, can't do it. So I didn't want you guys to be one of those agents.
Thank you.
All right. This one. Oh, here it is. I skipped right over it, which you guys probably wouldn't be upset about. So now we're going to do another scenario where you're practicing.
Yay.
And this one, if you have your participant guide, I always look them up and put them up for you guys anyway, but if you have it, it's page 18.8.
Mark?
I'm getting it. Hold on.
There it is. Do you see the scenario up? Oh, no, I didn't share it yet. Sorry. Dorky moment. All right. So share screen.
So page 282.
Okay.
Yeah, so 18.8. There it is. You guys see it? In
Mm-hmm.
case someone doesn't have it. All right. So we're going to do 10 minutes with you guys practicing this. Just make sure you read the scenario and complete the role play. Maybe, you know, one person do each side, okay? Any questions?
No,
All right, we're doing this 10 minutes, guys.
okay,
Don't sound so excited.
I'm trying.
Did anyone leave? I want to make sure no one's alone.
Chris left, Elaine left.
Okay, I think we're all good because we have Becky and Brandon, Diane, Mark, and Sandy. Okay, we're good. I'm opening them.
Okay.
So how did it go? It went?
Yeah.
You guys really practice?
Yeah.
I think I just sat there, but yeah.
It only took
Did we
about
lose
3
someone? Are we still good? Let me see. Yeah. 5 of you. Yeah, it's the steadfast 5. You guys are always on it. So keep it up, guys. All right, so what did you guys come up with? What are some things you could tell the buyer?
I don't think that there wasn't much to tell the buyer. The buyer came back and said, I have to have the appliances because they weren't on, that the expectation was that all homes have appliances. The other option we came up with was, okay, we're going to reduce the price to $340, or we're going to reduce the price to $345 in order to buy new appliances. Again, the seller could go back and say, look, it was in the contract that we were going to exclude these. So we understand, but we went under contract with them being excluded. That could have been another scenario. That's about it.
Did you ask each other the questions? So is this a deal breaker?
Yeah, we made that very clear on both sides.
It was a deal breaker.
So what else could you say?
Well, we were kind of left at an impasse. I represented the buyer. I said, hey, you want 350, we offer 340. You said that's not enough. Let's split the difference. We'll call that 5,000 an appliance credit. Do you want to get to Florida today or not? This is the way I left it.
True. I mean, is that assumption that every house comes with appliances realistic?
Mark?
I think it is.
I think so.
I mean, I could care less about a microwave, but it's usually pretty customary that you see a kitchen that at least has a fridge, a range, dishwasher.
Oh, you'll
think
now that the market's changing, you're going to be shocked. So I would agree with you on the dishwasher, and by law, there has to be a stove.
Okay, that's pretty helpful. So I guess they're not getting their daughter the stove.
No, by law, there has to be a stove. They have to replace it. They can't transfer it without it. So refrigerators, though, a lot of people in washer and dryers take them. A lot.
You know, that's not as that, you know, that's kind of a hygiene issue. So you could easily skirt that with the buyer and say, hey, you know, do you really want somebody else's equipment when you could have something you know is clean?
How about just, you're basically fighting over used appliances. Go buy some new used appliances. Right?
Yeah.
So how about a listing agent? This is what I'm saying. I think there's an agreement that can be made here. What do you think the seller could be? What would you say as a seller? What would you say to your seller? Sorry, I'm questioning.
I would just keep saying, how bad do you want to get to Florida? And how important is it for your daughter to get these family heirloom appliances? I would just keep circling back that they want to get to Florida. They can't get to Florida until they sell their current house. You have an offer of a $5,000 differential. How quick do you want to get to Florida?
Or go to Habitat and buy some and put them in there.
Yeah, or appliance furniture warehouse. Go to the dent section. A lot of them have like little dents on the side you never even see.
And that's why, like, I would encourage my buyer to say, hey, I don't want you to replace them. Just give me a credit so we can pick out what we want. As opposed to getting dented up, banged up, half-assed equipment. I mean, that's not
one of the things. That's what I was looking for, Mark. So what can you say to the seller? Is this a deal breaker? And if it is, just counter it, $340 with no appliances. And then as the buyer agent, you know, you could just tell them, listen, we're fighting over a used fridge. Right? Or used washer and dryer. You could pick those up on Craigslist for $50. And that's the truth. It might not be fancy, but you could. Is this worth losing the house over? Would you be heartbroken if you lost this house over used appliances, right?
Yeah,
And
and
then
on
how
top of that,
about,
let's think about this. I'm the seller and I'm like, okay, well, you just told me I have to go buy some used appliances. Am I really going to buy decent appliances to put in that house? No, you're still not going to be happy because they're not going to go and buy brand new good appliances. No, they're just going to go down and buy some used appliances, slap it in, and the buyer's going to go, okay, there you go. You got your stove.
that's a tough one. I would never ask them to replace things unless I could find out for sure they're putting the exact unit in.
Yeah.
Because you don't know, right? You don't know what you're getting. What's that, Mark?
Well, I mean, something comparable. I mean, like, say you buy an $800,000 house and you have a beat up old fridge. It's not really commensurate with the house. I mean, but you definitely want to make it very clear that you want something of equal value.
Right. But if it's already been in the listing agreement as an exclusion, right?
Yeah, but we're negotiating to try and get this to the finish line.
All right, so let's talk about the seller again. What other thing could you say? I have a pretty good idea. The asking price was $350, correct?
Yep.
They put an offer in at $340. If you don't have money to give your kid something to go buy, new appliances or new to them, used ones, how about you counter at $342? You give them the appliances and give them $2,000. Right? So you counter at $342 to the buyer and say, including all appliances. And then you just take that $2,000 and give it to your daughter.
Yeah. Could be.
Right? I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can handle this, right?
Yeah. But it kind of goes back to, if you're going to negotiate, you need a value on the appliances, right? You need to know specifics. So what appliances do they, out of the appliances that were listed on the exclusion, what appliances are you really, and if I go down and buy some appliances, is that going to be good enough? Probably not, right? Because it's a brand new home, right? You're moving into a new home. You want stuff that's yours. So.
No, it's true. And there's a lot of builders. It doesn't come with a fridge. You have to buy the package that includes the fridge. Right?
Yeah.
Some of the builders, there's no garage door openers. There's no, I mean, you get no blinds. So I mean, like, all stuff you have to think about, right? When you're talking to your buyer or seller. Anyone else have any other ideas before we move on? Let me ask you a question. Were you able to take a break or were you really working that whole time?
We were really working that whole time.
Mainly,
you guys want 5 minutes?
Yeah.
It's up to you. We can keep pushing through or I can give you 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
All right, let's take 5.
Come on, bub, let's go out.
We're almost done. I might get some ice. Here we go. Good job, here, buddy.
Mark, what's your puppy's name?
Katya.
Katya?
Katya. Katya.
Katya. Aw.
It's the Russian diminutive for Catherine.
Wow, that's so bad.
How old is she?
She's 3.5.
Wow.
Yes, you are. Look at those whiskers.
Did she go with you to your trip?
Oh yeah, she goes everywhere with me. I always stay at Hilton because they're all dog friendly now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so makes it a lot easier. And since I stay at a lot of Hiltons, they already have her on record, so I don't have to fill out paperwork each time. They just already know her. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it works out pretty good. I always stay at the same Hilton in Lawrence, Kansas, so they already know her.
So come here, sweetie. Do we get in writing referral fee or? Oh my gosh. Do you usually get in writing your referral fee or your percentage? Isn't verbal good enough?
No.
No, verbal's never good enough. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist.
No kidding. I'm like, I don't know why in the world somebody would ask that.
Oh, Gretchen just walked by with some good food.
Really? I'm 20 minutes away.
I know, it was like hummus and pita and all this stuff. I'm like, whoa. Okay, so everyone back? Oh wait, Sandy's still in here.
Sandy's still.
What? You don't hit your little head.
All right, we're just gonna keep going. So the next part is negotiation tips. Negotiation tips. It's important to remember that negotiating is a skill that is learned. You guys already have some of these skills, whether you know it or not. And it's practiced, right? When using the 3 Ps approach, keep in mind these best practices. Above all else, be what? Professional. Right. Remember your goal. What is the goal? A signed contract. This is what you're driving toward, and this is what both agents and their clients have in mind, right? Coming to an agreement.
Yeah.
Control what you say to anyone involved in the transaction. If you create anxiety in your client or other parties, you're reducing their leverage in negotiations, right? I will tell you one other thing, so let's say you have a client, and this is a good example of how people get nervous. You have a client, a buyer, and your offer was accepted, and you went in with a pre-approval. And then 4 days later, you send them a new pre-approval with information for a different lender, and you didn't communicate that. What do you think they might be thinking? People do it all the time, but there's a reason why it's like so important to call that agent. Why is that? What do you think they might be worried about?
That the other one fell through for some reason, that something
Right.
happened that, now, truthfully, should it happen once it's been pre-approved? Probably, but
It
yeah,
does.
you don't want to give the opinion or the perception that something has happened with the financing, especially on financing.
So all you do is you pick up the phone and say, hey, you know what? My buyer decided to change lenders. I hope that's okay. There's nothing wrong. Everything's great. I'm going to give you the new contact information for the new lender. Give them a call. The only reason why they changed was because the interest rate and fees were better. Period. Then are they as worried?
No.
Right. Send them the information over so they can do their due diligence, right? Okay. Continually refer to motivation. Remind your client why they intend to buy or sell and help them reevaluate their request if they're becoming unreasonable. So, like I said, you're gonna have people like that.
Yeah.
You're gonna have sellers that are like, I'm not fixing anything. So what would you say to your seller if they said that right now? And they've had one offer. And it's been on the market 10 days. What do you think you might say to them?
I'll let Becky's talking.
I said you might want to rethink that.
Right.
I don't know if y'all can hear me. My video's starting to go out.
So the market is completely different. I just want you to be forewarned that if you come back and say you're not doing anything, this entire deal could blow up. You're getting the price you really wanted, right? It's been on the market 10 days. You haven't had a lot of showings. You've had one offer. You might want to rethink this because it could be a while before we get another offer. We weren't even getting showings, correct? So, and they're like, well, I've heard people are buying things as is. That was the market 4 months ago.
Yeah,
it has changed. Right. It can change month to month, depending on interest rates, what's going on in the world, right? There's a lot, you can't predict it. So there you go. All right. Don't reveal too much. Listen more than talk. Keep your your client's motivation close to your chest. So remember I was talking about that you find out that they're under contract on a property. Is that good or bad? What do you guys think?
You mean that's the ones on the screen?
No, I'm talking about, remember we were talking about the one where, you call the agent and the agent says, they are under contract on a home in Tennessee or Indiana.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So they really need to close in 40 days.
Maybe.
Is that good to share or not?
No. Maybe. I don't know.
That's my point. It depends.
Yeah.
Can they still close out? Right. I mean, if they can't close on the other property and they're like, listen, please get this sold. I need it sold. I don't want to lose my dream house in Indiana.
Yeah.
I've been looking for a house like this for 45 years.
Well,
please don't close it. Now, what if you have someone that says, you know what? I'm under contract, but if I can't get the price I want, I just won't sell and I'll just back out.
You're under
Then
contract.
you wouldn't share it. Right.
You're under contract.
Right. So
So,
it just depends.
yeah,
That's my point.
yeah.
That's why you ask all the right questions and find out the motivation. Don't be attached to the outcome. You can't get everything you and your clients need all the time. Don't let it affect your mindset if a deal doesn't go through or if your client doesn't act on your recommendation. Find a different win for your client, right?
Yeah.
This is going to happen. I promise you. Okay. You're going to feel bad because I had one other one I'll share you with you guys was I put an offer in for a condo off the golf course here in Plum Creek. And listing agent's like, oh my gosh, they're going to take this offer. Thank you so much. But will you please be patient? Because my seller's in China and they're sleeping right now. So they can't sell it. I mean, they can't sign it. So I go back and I tell my client all this. They thought it was in the bag, right? Guess what that crappy agent did? She was calling around getting offers, and she ended up selling it to someone in her office because we went in lower, and she sold it out from underneath me. How do you think that made me look to my client?
Isn't it one of those don't say too much things?
Exactly.
It's
The
like,
other thing is, but the thing is, it's hard because they ask you questions. Well, have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? But by the same token, if I ever see that agent, I won't trust her worth you know what?
bit. Yeah, because I think the rule of thumb might be it's kind of like, do you have an offer in hand?
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Do you not? Right? Are you telling me the truth? And especially on a contract, it's like nothing is set in stone until that contract is back, right? And accepted.
Right. And what should that agent have said to me? I mean, it was my fault too. I should have just said it, it looks good, but we don't know.
Yeah.
What should that agent have said to me?
Well, she should have been truthful and said, the contract looks fine, but
it was one of those deals where Diane, she said, I talked to my client, they're willing to accept this offer. We're going to change a few dates around, but they're not awake to sign anything. She had no business saying that. Well,
that is true. She had no business saying that. That was
what she should have said. And as a listing agent, just remember this. The offer looks good to me, but my client's sleepy. She shouldn't have said anything. Because I have my client nipping at me. Well, why aren't we getting an answer? Why aren't we getting an answer? And I should have just said, sorry, no answer. Instead, I said, she said that they said they would, but they were going to tie up some other things. And then when it didn't happen, I learned a very valuable lesson.
So,
right?
So which lesson, and I'm just curious.
Two.
There's two.
I learned two lessons.
Never trust that person.
The other agent.
Yeah.
No, never. I don't care until you have it signed on the dotted line. And second, no matter how bad they're hounding you, don't share it.
Yeah.
Don't share it, right? I even said, hey, they haven't signed it yet. They're sleeping. But because the other agent said they were going to sign, I should never have said that. Ever. Because then I had to go explain it. The other agent's a jerk. Anyway, so it made me look bad. They still worked with me, but I was like, really embarrassed because the agent lied to me.
I mean, I think there's a part of our human nature that we want to trust people. We want to believe they're coming with their whole heart. They're coming with their courage, and we're coming with ours, right? We want to work with an agent that's coming from a point of contribution, right?
Yeah. You would hope, but it's not going to happen all the time. I'm just giving you guys life lessons I had to learn the hard way. And it's hard sometimes because, like I said, you're gonna have clients just biting at you. What have you heard? Why haven't you heard back? What's going on? Well, why haven't they signed it? Right? So anyway, ahas to achievement. How do you think you've grown in each of these areas? Your thinking, your feeling, your actions, and your tools. Anyone want to share? Are you sick of sharing?
It's Thursday afternoon. Would you do?
I'll share my feelings after being on here for 2 hours and 44 minutes with you talking at me. I hope you've learned a lot. That's what I'm trying to give you scenarios with good lessons I've learned and bad.
Yeah.
And you're going to learn something new on every little thing. I swear. Even me, I've done hundreds of transactions. I still learn new things. Not everyone, but still quite a few. So just be prepared. So the agenda for the rest of the class, you guys know what this is. It's the daily success system. So we're supposed to do 20 minutes of role play, 10 minutes preparing a call list, 45 minutes real play, and 30 minutes updating your database. We don't have time to do all that. So you guys all promised me to update your database on your own, I suspect.
Yeah.
Already done.
Diane?
Oh, I've already promised. Yes.
Okay, good. You Girl Scout promise? Okay.
Yep.
All right. I say we cut down the role play 2 to 10 minutes. You guys good with that?
Sure. What are we role playing? Which one are we role playing today?
I'll put it up for you guys when I get to that slide.
Okay. Hang on. I gotta get my
You guys need to prepare a call list, or do you have one?
Oh, we have one. I have one already. It's all done.
I have one.
Anyone need time for that? Brennan, Becky?
Do we have time for it?
To make a call list. Do you feel like you need time for that, or do you already have one?
No, I'm good. I already got a plan for today. Mostly involving my
Becky, you're good?
about to ghost me, but
I'm so good.
All right.
I'm so good.
So we're gonna eliminate the call list.
Click.
And then how much time do you guys want? Let's see, we're at 30, 40. And then we'll come back and talk. So that'll put us at around 12:30.
Sounds great.
Does that sound good to you guys? And then we'll come back and talk about what happened.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. All right, so let me move on. Do you guys remember? I had to look this up. I have a confession. So it's the daily success system, the 10 conversations, 10 contacts, 10 handwritten notes. Do you guys remember what the 10-5-1 is?
Yes, you got to like 10, you got to comment on 5, and you got to post 1 or a message.
Right, I wrote it down because I'm like, I can't remember because there's different ones, you know? Like this many personal, this many business, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. All right. You guys remember this? Do I have to read again? Is everyone reading this to you every time?
Every time. I heard it yesterday.
I'm supposed to read it to you?
Okay.
Do I need to?
No.
Look at
Negatory.
18.28 in your participation guide
18.
and read the rules. Remember, texts are also included. How about that? Okay.
Got it.
Who wants to read?
I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in a relationship with me.
Great.
I want it to be like, I engage in every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in a relationship with me. How about that?
Oh, goodness, goodness, goodness.
All right, good. All right, so now we're supposed to be doing the role play. And I'm going to put up, it's page 353 of the participation guide. I'll put it up for you guys too.
What's the, Mark, what's the
She said 353.
I know, but what's the other number?
Oh,
I don't have page numbers.
C32.
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 Yep.
Okay. Going to
Let me share my
C32.
screen.
Did this thing?
Where did I put it? Oh, here it is.
Okay. Okay. All right. Oh, this is the same one we did yesterday.
Is it?
Yeah, we did. We got bored.
It's funny because that's what they're telling us to do.
Well,
you guys want to do something different?
We picked our own yesterday, so.
I don't want to like make you guys do things 17,000 times. Do you want to pick a different one in here? Does anyone have any ideas?
Hang on.
Oh, I went too far.
Mm-hmm.
52. How about this one, 352? How does that one look? Can you see it?
Hang on, hang on. Mark, didn't you do the buyer wants to make a low offer yesterday?
I thought we did this one yesterday. I got it.
Yeah, I think we did that one too.
Yeah.
This is the one we're supposed to do.
Yeah, we already did those. We got bored yesterday. We were overachievers yesterday, just to let you know. We want you to understand that we were very committed and we did more than we had to yesterday.
Gotta love the overachievers. All right, how about did you guys read the part where it did the recommend that your client accept the offer? Did you guys do that one?
No.
All right, so let's do that one. How does that sound?
Okay.
We're only doing it for 10 minutes, guys, so let's just do that one.
Okay.
You want different people or you want the same?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Let's just get in it.
Let's just do
All
it.
right, goodbye.
Bye. Oh my God. Oh.
Where are they? Thank you. All right.
Hello.
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 Hi. Did you miss us?
Yes, I did. It was very lonely.
Okay, just let you know. Okay, cool.
Sandy's got to take a phone call, so she's going to be out for a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sandy's taking phone calls.
Okay.
Oops.
We're waiting
So-
for a few. Okay.
Now it wants us to join another breakout room?
Yeah, it
Oh,
says it's-
sorry. Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong button. My mistake, sorry, guys.
okay.
Changing the deal.
So, how did it go?
It went wonderful.
Diane was in a much better negotiating mood this session.
Oh, was she?
Mark,
He's being facetious.
he is just,
You come on, Diane. You started this morning like I haven't had coffee, I haven't eaten, I'm grumpy, I'm grumpy, I'm grumpy. Grumpy doesn't make for good negotiation, Diane.
Not if you're trying to build a relationship, at least.
yeah.
All right, and anyone learn anything? Any questions? How you handled it? Did someone think someone kicked butt doing it? Or did you guys even not do it? You just chit-chatted? What happened?
No, we did it. And Sandy, I calmed her fears that her house that has been sitting on the market for like 70 plus days was going to sell, and that she had a really good offer, and said she would take a moment and consider accepting the offer. So
Good.
Yeah, Diane told her to take the evening. There's plenty of time. Let's circle back the next day, let the dust settle and reflect, which I thought was a good idea, so that they can come to the conclusion themselves instead of feeling like the agent forced them into it and then hating them after the fact.
yeah.
So basically, we're covering our asses.
And actually, Kevin always says, like, you let the dust settle a little, because
Yeah.
emotions can run high. So you send people the information, you can have a quick conversation, but you don't have them make decisions right away. Because they'll get defensive and not think clearly. So it's super true. Anyone else? Any other ahas from that exercise? All right, let's move on. I know you can tell by your faces.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're
come
sorry.
on. All right. So prepare your conversation list. We're going to skip this. Just remember, like, to keep in mind expireds, vendors, your dentist. Use the board. Come up with a list. Now we're going to do the lead generation part. You guys said you all have your list. So make sure you're doing all of your lead gen right now. And I think what we agreed on 20 minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
They said 12:30.
Oh, 30. Let me see. I wrote it down. Hold on.
Mark.
What? She said 12:30.
Mark's like the brown-nosed tattletale that like sits in the front row.
No, Diane's the one who wouldn't even compromise over a 5-minute differential. Like, take it or leave it.
All right, it's 30 minutes. You're right. Of course, you're right. All right, so I'll see you guys. It's true. I'll see you guys in 30 minutes, and then we'll discuss what happened.
Cool.
Okay.
Where is
Is everybody off or is there anyone still on the phone? I'm guessing everyone's here. Except Sandy, but I don't know. I don't even see her, so. Okay, so how did it go, guys?
Voicemails.
Anyone yet?
I got
Okay.
a hold of one. I got a vendor.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but most everybody else was voicemail.
Oh, okay. Anyone else have any wins or any challenges?
I got one live call and a couple of emails in, and then uploaded all my stuff for my CTM account, like photo, signature, logo.
All right, great. Make sure you guys are doing the training. Okay. Super important. Anyone else have anything they want to share? Any wins?
No, I'm trying to get I sent some listings to this person I think is going to be a buyer. Trying to set up a meeting, but he works as an Uber driver during the day, so I'm not sure when he's going to respond to me. I'm hoping that goes somewhere.
Oh.
Hoping he doesn't ghost me like Becky's buyer did.
Well, that's good. Sorry. All right. So you guys said you're all going to update your contacts. I assume you all know how because you're the same five I always talk to. Anyone not know how to do updates? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, we'll move on. We already did our celebrate successes, which there weren't too many. I don't know if Becky had any, but I know she's having internet issues. Let me see, there's one other chat. Oh, good, Becky. I have a lunch set up for next week and entered contacts in command. Good job, you had a win. Awesome. All right, you guys remember the daily success system? How to use it?
Yep.
Yep. 10 combos, 10 contacts, 10 handwritten notes, 10-5-1, enrichments, appointments, agreements, closing. Okay. You guys know how to access command and connect?
Yes.
Anyone not know where to go for that? Okay, I'll move on. Your next session is going to be session 19. I believe it's Margaret, unless she has someone filling in for her. And it's going to be get to the close.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tuesday is Jody. And then you're done, guys. Which is pretty darn good. But I kind of feel bad. It's the last time I'm going to be on with you guys.
Oh, we'll come visit you.
Okay, good. Come over to Castle Rock.
We'll be there on the 1st.
Yep, we'll be there.
Are you going to come to the business planning?
Yeah, on the 1st.
Okay, so I'll get to meet you in person.
Yep, it'll be first time to Castle Rock office, so.
Oh, good, good. And I know, Diane, you're coming too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll be there. All right, well, I look forward to seeing you guys. Thank you all for humoring me and laughing at my jokes and participating. It's been fun. And just keep plugging, guys. Keep in mind the market's really funky and they're predicting people are leaving. But if you stick with it, it's a good time to grow.
Yeah. So thanks so much, Tracy.
Thanks for teaching.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.